Hello, welcome in everyone. This is our YouTube channel. I think it's episode 9. So it's the 13th. Is it the 13th? No, it's the 14th today.
Yeah, the
November
14th.
14th. Time is weird right now.
I know.
And I'm going to pull from the Sacred Symbols deck.
Jeez.
So I listened to a tarot reader in Maine. Her name is Mary Jo. She does Soulful Revolution, and
Okay.
she uses these a lot in her readings. So they're very simple but powerful, as symbols can be.
Yep.
Fire.
Ooh.
Just a simple pointing upward triangle. Number 27. That if anyone's into numerology and that means something to you. But the symbol is fire alchemy. Light, creativity, drive, purity, passion, and new opportunities. The element of fire can free you from boredom, clear karma, and give you the energy required to take action. Be warned, though, too much fire can also burn, so be mindful of utilizing this energy wisely by channeling it creatively. Meditate on this symbol with the assistance of a candle to inspire creativity, motivation, and passion.
Hmm.
Well, what comes up for me right away is just because I got through like pulling some cards for myself, like doing my morning thing or whatever. And one of the cards I got was the Two of Wands, and it was actually talking about the element of fire and how you can like use it to harness it to like take action, right? Like you're either hanging on to the wand in your comfort zone, or you're like, harnessing that element of fire to like not just like plan it and dream it, but also like take action. And so I feel like there's like a lot of fire energy even up right now in the collective,
Yes.
and so I love how it talks about like harnessing it in the right way, right? Or like a more aligned way, like through creativity or movement or dance or just expression of some kind, because creative expression comes in all forms, right? And so um yeah, because it is such a catalyst, right? Like it is such an element of change and transformation and burning through, right? Like I love all, like I have a lot of fire in my chart, so I resonate with this element a lot. And also that like too much fire can burn, right? Like I can be too much, I can be overwhelming. So just like noticing how to like temper that down with some of like the earth and water and air energies. That maybe like I don't have very much water in my chart. Like I think my north node is the only thing I have in water. So I have to like temper my fire down a lot actually.
Yeah, I was thinking
Yeah.
that too. Like it feels very collective, like the fire right now. Like things are burning away. I don't know. I feel like out with the old. I don't know. Things are like dismantling almost
Yeah.
in a way. What that's going to look like, who the hell knows? But yeah.
So I just wanted to just go back to Jess when you say that you don't have much water or anything else to tame the fire in your sign. What do you do to keep from burning things down? Is there a process that you go through to stay from letting that
Well,
fire overrule things?
yeah, that's actually a really good question. Well, I've learned based on like the way I'm wired that like movement has to be a part of my life in some way. Like I've got to be able to move the energy out, whether it's dance, whether it's like shaking. Like I'll go in the backyard all the time and shake. My neighbors probably think I'm crazy, or just like yoga or breath work or something like that. Because when I don't do that, it's like this just buildup of energy and it like seeps out sideways in like ways that I don't always want to. And so, yeah, I think just like getting to know the self and what elements you have a lot of is super helpful. So I love that question. Yeah, because I had like, until I figured that out about myself, until I made that like a regular practice of mine, I was constantly burning people, right? I was constantly coming out in ways that I didn't, want to. And I'm not perfect by any means. I haven't mastered this. I'm not saying that at all, but I definitely notice I have a lot more like a lot less a lot less like tension and blowups and having to go clean stuff up when I'm allowing the energy to move through my body in another way. Because I'm also sensitive too. So I'm like, I've got my own stuff, I've got my environment, I've got the collective. And so it's like just important for me, like to get in that fire of transformation and movement and move the energy through.
Yeah.
Yeah, that resonates. So for me, I'm an Aries, which is a fire sign.
Mm-hmm.
And it resonates big for me because I kind of come in like action oriented and impulsive and don't necessarily um, have the ability to kind of like stick to it with it, like because that's what it kind of needs, right? Which is why I think the three of us work so well together because
Mm-hmm.
we all kind of balance each other out. And I feel like that's how we're moving forward and taking action steps. Utilizing all of our strengths and then also supporting each other's weaknesses, which feels really like I just feel like collaboration um, is so necessary these days. It feels like it's just it makes sense, right? Why do we do it alone and why do we struggle? Like lean on each other and benefit from having access to people's talents and
Yeah.
ease.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think with that comes understanding yourself, and where, like, and being able to know what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and being able to, like, honor those within you, right? Honor the strengths, weaknesses, so you know when to say yes, you know when to say no, you know when to ask for help. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And some of those things, like some of our things can't be worked on unless we're in relationship of some kind, right? Like there's only so much self work we can do. Like some of it has to be put to you've got to cross like some of these barriers, like in community with people, in relationship, right? Like I learned how to do relationships by being in relationship, by being in collaboration. So just even using us as an example and like, how we've transpired since we started collaborating together and getting to know each other and ourselves and how we work together and stuff. Like that's just been such a fascinating dance for me. And I've learned so much about myself, about you, about just working with other people. So it's just been such an enriching journey overall, and that's not even
Yeah.
counting like what we get to put out to the world. Like that's just like what we've been like marinating in over here with the three of us. So I agree with Mary Beth. I think collaboration is like just the new way. I mean, yes, there are some things we're going to do on our own and it'll be individual journeys, but it just I don't know that much about human design, but it just popped into my head when she was talking to me because it's like, I heard somebody say it's like you can like come in contact with people and you can complete each other's gates, right? So it's like when you're
Mm.
around somebody, you might have like extra access to your heart chakra that you normally don't have any gates to that or whatever. And so I think about that too when it comes to collaboration and like what y'all were talking about with strengths and weaknesses, because it's like, we're all like kind of completing each other's gates and like, so I don't know. It's cool to think of it from that perspective too.
Mhm.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. I love that. I love that visual of completing each other's gates. I love that.
Mhm.
It's also making me feel like I just took on a new job at a company that really does value supporting the employee right from the beginning. And what a difference it makes in how I can show up if I feel like I'm getting support, right? Because we're not
Yeah.
an island and it's not easy to be like in a position where you're not feeling supported. So, yeah, I'm really enjoying that piece right now and fascinated by all like what I have in front of me. Like every week they have action steps and what I should be doing and check off lists. And it just feels like that left brain loves that order.
Mhm.
And then I can't wait to kind of get into the visits that I'm going to be doing and then letting that right brain take over. So yeah, so that feels like that fits in with the collaboration too, is being like surround yourself with people that are building you up, like being really
Mhm.
aware of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Something was coming to my mind to say. Now I just totally forgot it. So sorry. Something about the fire energy again and like burning that stuff up. I don't know. Maybe it'll come in a second.
Well, you've
I
got your
wanted to
fiery red
go back
on.
to that. What's that?
You said you've got your fiery red on, so
I
it'll come.
know. uh, mm,
Well, it also makes me think of like the actual shape of the triangle, like the 3 points, you know, like just the three, like mind, body, spirit, right? Like the connection, like the foundation. Like we had this thing in rehab, they're talking about like the three-legged stool, right? You know, it's like, yeah, I'm
yeah.
a two-legged stool, or like, you know, it's like having that solid foundation. So like something about that feels, I don't know, feels good too. Like something about that, like feels like it's dropping in also, just like having I don't know.
And like raise, I think too, what was coming was like raise up the energy, right? So if you're angry, if you're irritated, if you're rah, 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 and you want to outward it, like how do you raise it up? Like let the fire burn up almost to like Michael Singer always talks a lot about like raise yourself with self, right? So like raise that up within yourself before you do something about it, right? So you be something about it instead of do something about it,
Oh, I
right?
like that.
You honor the creativity, right? Because even we have like relationships with the world, with every we have a relationship with every moment of time. And how are we using that, right? Are we just throwing the fire out or are we letting it transmute to that higher vibration almost or a higher energy?
I love that, the transmute word. That's,
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that feels healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because another, and speaking of that, actually like burning through, and another one of the cards I had pulled for myself this morning, it was talking about the solar plexus chakra. Is it Manipura?
Mm-hmm.
Manipura? Is that how you say it?
Manipura. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's talking about how it's like it was like burning away, like it's like I can't remember what it referenced. I'm going to butcher it now, but it's talking about how like in that center is where we burn away our karma, like burn away the past or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. I want to go back and read it now, but it made me think of it just when you were saying that. It's like
Yeah.
so it doesn't get stuck, right? Like so it doesn't get stuck in that place, like in that anger place. Like you move it up and out. You're
Right.
not projecting it onto other people and burning them, and you're not like holding on to it like to burn yourself. Like so, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I feel like that should be taught in like kindergarten, like how to move your energy up and out. Like this should be like what we're teaching people, like as soon as they're in kindergarten, like how to do this. Like this is energetic hygiene.
But how do you do it? Like in those moments, you know what I mean? Like, and I think one of the things, especially as we get older and older, when that reaction becomes a pattern, it becomes harder to break it, right? So it's really about practicing it, like just practice with the small stuff, and how can you just like, it's always like the same answer. I feel like creating that space for yourself, right? Like to, to move behind your thoughts and understand that that's not who you are and then be able to like lift it just a little bit even might be able to support that, but like creating that awareness within yourself first, um yeah, and then just allowing it to be what it is. Like so sometimes we really just have to sit with the anger or sit with the reaction that we're having, sit with the anxiety, sit with the fear, whatever it is, without labeling it or trying to understand it or make a context or a story up about it. Just let it be what it is. And that really sucks. I was doing that recently regarding a friend of mine and like just feeling really a lot of anger around it. And I sat literally, normally and every morning I'll study self-realization and meditate for 30 minutes. So however that looks, I don't like time my meditations. I'll sit in meditation and I'll be like, okay, I'm going to pick up my lesson and start reading a little bit. Oh, I feel complete. I'm going to go back to meditating. But I stayed in the meditation for a full 30 minutes and was just like trying to just be with that anger. And it was really uncomfortable. And it didn't like, I still felt it after the meditation. So some things, when you have like a really like stuck energy, you have to continue to go back to it again and again until it starts to lift up. But it can take some time, right? It's not necessarily always a quick process. With smaller things, it can be, but
Right. Right. Yeah. So it's like having the patience and the spaciousness, like being patient with the amount of spaciousness you're able to create, right? Like, yeah. 'Cause, I mean, there's sometimes I have to do it many times, like the little thing you taught us about breathing it up and out, breathing it
yeah,
like, yeah, there's sometimes I can do it like once and it's gone. And then sometimes I have to do it for like several minutes, right? Like I just really have to do it to get it up and out. So
yeah,
just allowing myself that space and patience to be in the practice of it, right? Like I can just be
yeah,
new and be a beginner. And sometimes I'm not great at it and other times I am. So um,
yeah,
yeah, it seems like it always comes back to life as our spiritual practice.
yeah, yeah,
And
100%.
a feminine approach, you know, of giving yourself grace as you learn something new and the patience to learn it. And then also, like, I'm thinking ego versus universal time versus ego time. Like, I want to be through with it, but the universe is like, no, you're not, you're not through with it yet. Like, you'll be healed when I say you're healed.
Hmm.
So it's like a surrender to it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, definitely a surrender. Well, it's like Jamie said, instead of like doing something with it, it's like, how are you just being with it, right? Like, how are you just being
yeah,
with it instead of doing? Like the old paradigm, it's like I need to do something about this, right? Instead of just like,
yeah,
you just be with this, right? Because so often presence just will melt so much stuff. Like just really being present with it can like a lot of times like melt things or at least relax some tension around it, you know? I have another
yeah.
mentor that calls it, she says, hold the screaming babies. Like when stuff's not okay inside, you know, just like be present. Like that's what she calls being present with your emotions. Like hold the screaming babies. I like that. I'm like, okay, I'm holding my screaming babies. You know?
That should be the title of this episode. Hold the screaming babies.
Right? I love that actually.
Yeah.
I love it.
But yeah, like you have to sit with the emotion, I feel like, and just allow it to be. Like be okay not being okay. And then everything will be okay. And it really does work. It really does work when you can sit with it and just be like, oh my God, I'm really freaking out. Because initially, like, so even in my situation, I'm like, I want to do something about it. Do I call her? Do I wait for her to call me? I better tell everybody about this? But what does it mean? What does it mean? Let me figure out what trauma I'm working through. What am I healing? You know, and then we try to like dissect it. Maybe I should journal about it. And it's like, why don't you just be with it? We could also just sit with it and be like, yeah, I'm really angry. I'm really happy, or I'm really sad, and not make a story about it and just be with it. It does work, but it's challenging to do it. It's truly challenging to sit there with certain emotions because you really just want to be like, I don't want to feel this, you know, I want to do something about it.
Well,
Absolutely.
as kids, we're not allowed to have it, right? I mean, how many times I feel when I was a kid, like when I was upset or something, it was just like, just get over it, Mary Beth, you know, or
Yeah.
you're making a mountain out of a molehill, or there's Mary Beth crying again, you know, that type
Yeah.
of thing. So we weren't allowed to have our feelings.
Yeah.
So I think that that's where that comes from is that we don't feel like we have the I don't know, we weren't taught that we have the capacity to hold it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that saying, don't cry over spilt milk,
Ah, yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I got she cries at a drop of a hat. I was so sensitive.
Same.
I know they didn't get me. They didn't get me.
They got me. I literally like in recovery, I literally had to learn how to cry again. Like I had to learn how to like I was like cry constipated or something. Like I just couldn't I was like people would cry and I'd be so envious. I'm like, oh my God, I want to cry. I want that release. Like it looks so like cathartic. And so it's like just really learning. And then it would come in and be like, okay, it's like a Huggies commercial or like a cancer commercial. I'm like, okay, I can cry for that. I'm gonna let it come, you know. Like, and that's where constellations came in so well. Like, it's such an empathy building thing. And yeah, it's like I've literally had to re-teach my body and give it permission to emote, cry,
Yeah.
to make noise, to feel my feelings. It was like smashed out of me by my childhood programming, you know, and I don't think I'm alone in that. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're all learning and figuring out as we go.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel
Well,
complete?
I feel complete. I think the lesson is try to sit with things.
With the crying
Try to
babies.
burn it up. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
babies.
Hold the crying babies. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Yes, thank you.
you.